Hello children. Today's English class is from the Moments textbook In the Kingdoms of Fools by A.K. Ramanujan. His full name was Atipati Krishnasamy Ramanujan. He was an Indian poet and scholar of Indian literature who wrote in both English and Kannada. He was a poet, scholar, professor, a philologist, folklorist, translator, and a playwright. His academic research ranged across 5 languages: English, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and Sanskrit. He was born on 16th March 1929 in Mysore, India, and died on 13th July 1993, Chicago, Illinois, in US. He was awarded with Padma Shri, MacArthur Fellowship, and Sahitya Academic Award for English Writers. Now, the story In the Kingdom of Fools by A.K. Ramanujan can be read in 2 levels. One just as a funny entertainer and the other as a symbol on the follies and foibles of the so-called great kings and ministers. Even though the events described in the story take place in by the gone era when kings were ruling the kingdoms, everything in the story seems to have some relevance and significance in the present social political scenario. Also, where we too have many ministers, leaders, and bureaucrats who are not much better than the king and the minister in the story. When we look at the story from that angle, the story is indeed a fantastic allegory which criticizes the waywardness and power thirst. The king and the minister in the story even ready to die on the stake to retain their power. Of our ministers, political leaders, and bureaucrats. The story can also be read as a story that tells us the fact that we must be very cautious and careful when we come into contact with foolish people, because foolish people are unpredictable and can be very dangerous. What they may think or may not think or may do or may not do, nobody can say for sure. So even if we get some short-term benefits from them, like everything available with a single doo-doo in the story, it is better to stay away from them. Only the wise, intelligent, and diplomatic people like the guru in the story can deal with the people like them and manage them. The events described in the story took place in a kingdom where the king and the minister were idiots. That's where it's a kingdom of fools. They ordered all things to be reversed. They decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered people to do day's work at night and sleep during the day. Anyone not obeying was to be punished with death. So people, out of fear, did as they were asked to do. This delighted the foolish king and the minister. As you know, ministers, to get a good name from their kings, they will go to the least foolishness, and the king, being so fool for empowering his territory, he wants to show that he is better than other territories. He is just following what these foolish ministers say. And here, once a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. They found everyone asleep during the day. No activity was observed. It amazed them. They wondered till evening. Then the people woke up. They started doing their nightly businesses. Now the two were hungry. They bought some food items. The price of everything was same, a single dudu. Now dudu is a currency in that city. This surprised and delighted them. The Guru realized that it was really a kingdom of fools. Then the Guru decided to leave the city of fools. He asked his disciple also to leave the place, but the disciple didn't want to do so for cheap food. The Guru advised the disciple that nothing could be predicted of fools, but the disciple didn't care. He stayed back. Time passed on and the disciple ate to his fill. As a result, he became very fat. Then one day, a king broke into a rich merchant's house. He was taking out the stolen things. Just then, the wall of the old house fell on his head. He was killed instantly. The brother of the thief complained to the king about his death. He blamed the owner of the house for his brother's death. The owner is summoned to the king's court. The king heard the accused. He accused him of killing the thief. But the owner said that he was innocent. He said that the person who built the wall was responsible. He didn't make the good wall. The king decided to summon the bricklayer now. Now the king asked the bricklayer if he had built the wall. He accused him of killing the thief. Now here, rather punishing the thief, there is an inquiry going on who has to be punished for the thief's death. Now, a thief actually should be punished, right? He came to that person's place, merchant's place, and he stole things. But as the wall fell on him, now the one who said that he is following, his brother said that he is following some family business. He was killed by the owner. And because of that, he was summoned, and then now this bricklayer has been summoned. Before the king could order his death, the bricklayer pleaded innocence. He told the king that he could not concentrate while building the wall. A dancing girl moved in the street, distracting his attention. So she was responsible for it. Now you see here, it's just passing the ball. It's just passing the crime to one head to other here. Now the dancing girl is summoned. The king charged the dancing girl of killing the thief. The dancing girl said that the goldsmith was responsible for it. She had given some gold to him. He had to make some jewelry for her. He was lazy and he was doing at the time some important work, some urgent work of a merchant where he had some marriage. He did not make the jewelry in time, so she had to walk up and down the street. So it was the goldsmith's fault now. Now the goldsmith had to be called to the court. The king now ordered to summon the goldsmith. The goldsmith replied that there was a wedding in the rich man's house, and that rich man is none other than the merchant. The merchant whose father's work was this goldsmith doing. he had to make jewelry for him. So he could not finish the jewelry of the dancing girl in time. And since it became known that the rich merchant who forced the goldsmith to complete their work first was none other than the father of the first accused merchant, the king finally declared the first accused himself to be murderer. The king asked for a new stake to be made ready for the execution of the rich merchant, as he was a son of that old merchant and he has to possess what that father would, as he is possessing his wealth, his luxury, the same he should possess his sins. But the man here was very thin. He could not be executed with the stake. The king was worried about it. Then he ordered to search a man who was fit for the stake. He should be executed. Finally, the king sent his servant around the kingdom to look for a man who was fat enough to be executed with the stake. They found the Guru's disciple who had become very fat because of overeating. The disciple said that he was a sannyasi. He had not done anything wrong. He was innocent. Then why were they taking him? The king's servants said that he was innocent, but they were ordered to catch a hold of a fat man who could be executed with a stake, and he was fit for it. And that is why they were taking him along. The helpless disciple prayed to his guru and asked him to come to his rescue. The guru could visualize the disciple's message due to his magical powers. He could see everything. He could see the future, the present, the past. He could see everything in the vision. The guru arrived there to save his disciple. The disciple was trapped in difficulty and serious situation. They were about to execute him, although he had not done anything wrong. So the Guru came to rescue him from this situation. As the Guru met his disciple, he scolded him because he did not obey him and stayed back. He whispered something in his ears. Then the Guru tried to trap the king in his words. He asked him who was greater between a Guru and his disciple. The king replied that of course the Guru was greater. The Guru said that for his reason the king must execute him because executing his disciple. When disciple heard his Guru's words, he started shouting that he wanted to die first. When the Guru and disciple started arguing that who would die first, the king got confused. He asked the Guru that why did he want to die first. They had caught the disciple because he was fat and they wanted a fat man who could be executed on the newly built stake. The Guru refused to reply. He said that he wanted to die because before his disciple died. The king felt that there was some mystery behind it. The Guru wanted to die because he wanted that he should receive some power before his disciple was so eager to die. There must be some reason behind it. The Guru asked the king to promise him that he would execute him first if he told him the secret about why he wanted to be executed first. The king promised that he would execute him first. Then the Guru took the king aside and slowly told him that he had roamed around the whole world but had not seen a city and a king like him. He added that the stake which they would use to kill the disciple was the stake of justice. As it was new, it had not killed any criminal. Further, he added that the one who would die first on this stake would be reborn as a king of the kingdom. By telling all this, he is trying to trap the king. Then the one who would die next would be reborn as a minister of the kingdom. The Guru added that he was tired of the life of a sannyasi. He and his disciple wanted to live the life of a king and a minister. So he says that the king execute him first so that he is reborn as a king, and after him his disciple be executed so that he is reborn as a minister. After listening to this Guru, the king was indeed thought. He did not want that in the next life his kingdom be snatched away from him. He discussed this with his minister. The king told his minister that he did not want that in the next life his kingdom to be taken away. He added that the person was a holy man and holy men did not speak lies. He says that they should die first so that they are reborn as king and minister of the kingdom. The king told his executioners that he would send the criminals at night. Firstly, they should execute the person who came first and then execute the second person. They should be careful and not to make any mistake. At night, the king and his minister went to the prison where the Guru and his disciple were kept. They wore the clothes of the Guru and his disciple so that they resembled them. As it was told to the servants, they came and took them along and put them into the stake for execution. In this way, with his intelligence, the Guru was able to execute his foolish king and his foolish minister. When the dead bodies of the king and his minister were taken away to be thrown, the people trembled to see the dead bodies of their king and his ministers. Everyone was trembling because the dead bodies were not of the Guru and his disciple. Instead, they were the bodies of the king and his minister. Everyone in the king was mourning the death of their king and his minister. In the morning, some people thought of the Guru and his disciple and felt that they should go to them. They should not allow them to go away from this place. As the Guru and his disciple were planning to leave the kingdom, the people stopped them. The people of the kingdom thought that they needed a king and a minister. So they requested the Guru and his disciple to be the new king and the minister of the kingdom. The disciple agreed quickly because he knew it took some time for the Guru to agree upon this. So the Guru agreed to be the king of the kingdom, but on the condition that from then everyone would work in the day and sleep at night. Also, the cost of things would vary and not be the one what was decided earlier, which is one to do for anything, as was the system, foolish system to be ruined the economy. They thought to change it. It would be like any other place where everything had different rates. Finally, the Guru converted the kingdom of fools into a normal kingdom. So that was the story of this foolish king and the minister through their idiotic thoughts thought to be different from other place and forced his people. The event described in the story took place in a kingdom where the king and the minister were idiots. So let's have a summary of this lesson. As it's a kingdom, since they wish to rule the kingdom in a different way from other kings, they reversed the order of the day. They ordered everyone to be awake at night and do their respective works, while during the day everyone must sleep. Since it was an order from the king, everyone followed this foolish practice. One day, a guru and disciple reached the city. Even though it was a broad daylight, no one could be seen anywhere. But after the sun set, when it was growing dark, much to their surprise and belief, the whole town woke up and went about with their business. When they went to buy some groceries, giving them more surprise, they knew that everything cost only a single dudu there. But after cooking and having their food, the Guru realized that it would be not wise and safe to live in a kingdom of such foolish people. Hence, he suggested his disciple that they must leave that place as soon as possible. But the disciple was unready to do so. As all the food items were cheap there, the Guru tried to convince him, but all in vain. At last, the Guru left the place and the disciple stayed back there. He ate to his fill every day and grew fat. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. By making a hole on the wall. When he was coming out of carrying the loot, the wall collapsed on his head, killing him on the spot. His brother rushed to the king and complained that the merchant should be punished for not building a strong wall. The king summoned the merchant. But the merchant explained that he had nothing to do with the accident since the wall had been built during his father's time. But he added that he knew the man who built the wall. The king summoned the man, the bricklayer, an old man now. During his trial, he said that a pretty dancing girl was going up and down the street all day with her jingling anklets, distracting his concentration from the work. That resulted in the wall being weak. That dancing girl, an old woman now, was brought in. During her trial, she gave the excuse that a lazy goldsmith whom she had given order to make some jewelry made her walk like that by delaying her work. When the goldsmith was brought for the trial, he explained that he had to delay her work since a rich merchant forced him to complete their work first. When the king asked who was that rich merchant who was the root cause of all problems, it turned out that the rich merchant was none other than the first accused merchant's father. The king then observed that as the son inherits all his riches, so he must inherit the result of his sins and faults too. Therefore, he must be executed. He was being verdict. When the rich merchant was being taken to be executed, it occurred to the minister that the merchant was too thin to be executed properly on the stake. So the king and the minister decided that on behalf of him, a fat man should be executed. Now, what is that they were having in their mind? That a new stake is built, and to use that, they want to kill somebody now. So, Rather in now killing that merchant, now they are going to find a fat man. So when the servant reached for a fat man, their eyes fell on the disciple, a bulky fellow now. Though he pleaded that he was an innocent sannyasi, the merchant who was supposed to be killed was escaped, and now this fat fellow is caught. The servant did not listen to him and carried him to the place of execution. When he was face to face with death, he remembered Guru's words of wisdom that he was unsafe to live there. Anyway, he prayed to his Guru to hear his cry. The Guru, who had magical powers, knew everything in a vision, rushed to save his disciple. As soon as he arrived, he scolded disciple first and then whispered him something. It was a part of a master plan hatched by Guru to save his disciple's life. Soon they started a row between them about who would die first on the stake. Seeing this, the king was puzzled. He asked the Guru why they were competing to die like that. Then the Guru told him secretly that the newly made stake was the stake of God of justice, and since it was never used, the one who would die first on it would be reborn as a king, and the second a minister in that kingdom. The king was thrown into a deep thought. He discussed the matter with his foolish minister. Since both of them didn't want to lose the power and the kingdom in their next birth also, they decided that they would go on the stake and get killed. Thus, both of them went to the prison secretly at night, released the Guru and the disciple, put themselves into their places, and promptly got executed. The people were shocked to know the sudden deaths of king and minister. They discussed the future of the kingdom, and all of a sudden thought that the Guru and disciple they were actually planning to leave the city secretly. The people approached them and requested them to be their new king and minister. After some hesitation, the Guru agreed rule to rule the kingdom on the condition that they would change all the foolish old laws. The night would be again the night, and day would again be day. Nothing could be bought with a dudu. Thus, eventually, the kingdom of fools became like any other place. So, that was the story of the kingdoms of fools. I hope that everybody knew how foolishly this king and his ministers' foolishness made people struggle for a long time, and at last that got an end. Now, children, I have given some question answers here. You can go through those question answers. Read the lesson 2 times so that you can understand the dialogues of the